Good morning. All right. So thanks Maher and Samar for introducing us. Let's make sure we turn that off. So as Maher said, I'm going to share the research findings. I'm going to talk to you about the methodology because in some of our conversations with the providers, I think we discovered that the methodology that we used does have some differences, is a bit distinct from some of the methodologies and processes that some of your organizations use to develop new products, to develop online applications, services, and certainly mobile phone apps. So I do want to share a bit about the methodology, and then I'm going to get into the research findings from our first two trips to Pakistan. And then my colleague Adam is going to share with you the final wireframes, where we've landed on how we think and our recommendations for the smartphone app design for mobile money specifically in the Pakistani market. We are going to have Q&A, as Samar mentioned, after each session, so definitely feel free to use that pencil and the notepad to capture any questions. Hopefully we can have an open and interesting, candid discussion and debate. If there are disagreements, I welcome them, so please feel free to share those as well. But I think without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. So for those of you that haven't met us and haven't actually had the chance to interact with us, just a note about who we are. So as Maher mentioned, we are a US-based but global firm. We specialize in designing products, services, experiences, and actually also policies for people who live in marginalized communities. So think of that as the unbanked in Pakistan, or also just people who are not necessarily thought of as the core segment for many for-profit companies around the world. So we try and just help organizations, governments, for-profit companies think about how to design products and services that work for the majority of what we call the 99% in the US, but basically everyone who's not highly privileged. Our methodology is a little bit unique. We are not a pure human-centered design firm. There are many of those around the world. We're also not a pure behavioral science firm. We actually draw tools and methodologies from the behavioral sciences. Behavioral science is really just, think of it as economics plus cognitive psychology. It's the study of how people make decisions, how people act, how they behave, and really understanding the psychological elements of why people do the things they do. So we take elements from that discipline and also methodologies, principles, and elements from the human-centered design discipline, and we combine them into a methodology that we think is a bit more holistic and rigorous, providing also scientific insights about human behavior, as well as that creative, iterative, inclusive approach from the design world. A bit on who interacted on this project. So this project with Karandaaz, we had a bit of a global team. So myself and Adam and one of our mobile money consultants, a woman named Megan, who some of you I think spoke with on Skype on the phone. The three of us are based in the US. Our creative director on the project, a man named Gabriel White, he's based in Australia. And then actually Ali Martaza is here with us today, one of our Pakistani team members. Ali's a designer that we engaged for this project, as well as a woman named Aisha, who is a social science researcher. So you can see it's like a very interdisciplinary team, coming from kind of all corners of the world actually. And we all brought something very specific and very targeted to the project. There's a reason that we selected this team of 6. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention the Pakistan Microfinance Network, who was instrumental in helping us here on the ground. In addition to Ali and Aisha being our local team members, Pakistan Microfinance Network was extremely supportive and helpful in setting up interviews with agents, with customers, providing a lot of logistical support as well. And obviously Karandaaz was very involved in the process as well, really as our client, but also as our partner throughout the work. Just wanted to show kind of the variety of types of clients that we work with. It's not just financial inclusion that we work in. We also work in agriculture, education, alternative energy, sanitation, hygiene, water, kind of you name it. And our clients range anywhere from actually governments, central banks and governments, down to nonprofit organizations, to telcos, to for-profit companies. So the team, the 6 of us, have a very wide range of types of engagements that we manage. And so it's not just necessarily like financial inclusion and thinking about how to integrate lower income, lower literate individuals into systems and markets. Let me just tell you a little bit about the project. I know that Samar and Meher gave you a bit of an overview already. I just want to highlight a couple of things and why we think spending time and resources on this was an important and good choice from Karandaaz's point of view. So as Samar already mentioned, access to smartphones is increasing quite rapidly here in Pakistan, especially with the surge of lower cost smartphones into the market, as well as expanded 3G and 4G services. So keeping those factors in mind, the mobile financial services industry in Pakistan is really quite well situated and poised to explore the MFS, the mobile financial services app space. How can we actually use apps as a way to engage new customers, allow our existing customers to more actively use our products and our services? So MFS, delivered through a smartphone interface, actually has the capability to extend and improve financial access in Pakistan. And when I say access, I don't just mean people have the ability to access, but really the uptake and the usage of mobile financial services. So to this end, a well-designed user interface of an app on a smartphone for mobile financial services will allow you as providers to better serve your customers by providing more advanced services, more targeted services, a better improved user experience, and overall really trying to tap into the specific needs, desires, and behaviors of your current customers and potential customers that you haven't even touched yet, possibly. So a couple of notes. UX design. I know a bunch of you in the room are familiar with that, but just so we're clear, user experience, well, I'll be saying UX a lot, Adam will be saying UX a lot today. We're just referring to the user experience. When a customer gets into the app, what is that customer's experience in that app? Is it easy to use? Is it simple? Is it intuitive? Is it pleasant? Do people actually desire and want to be in that app, exploring and using all of the possible services and products? So a couple of notes about user experience design. It's not just about how the app looks. A lot of people focus on that first level design. It's really not about that. I mean, that's important, of course. When we talk about user experience design, we're really talking about how someone interacts with it, how useful the product is. And by product in this case, I really mean that app, for example. And around the world, user experience is really considered an essential part of any new tech company or company's delivery of a service or a product. Companies like Apple, Google, WhatsApp, Facebook, all of these companies prioritize user experience and user interface design because they know that it's what drives the uptake and usage of their products and services, yeah? And the same should be true for financial services that are moving towards a mobile platform. Another note, good user experience design looks at a product within an ecosystem of other products and services. So even the best designed app will not actually help you increase uptake and usage of your products and services if, for example, someone calls a customer care department and can't actually get support from your customer care. So even though customer care is not about user experience and not in the app, all of those services and touch points with your customers create an ecosystem, and they all need to be designed considering the user's experience and the user's preferences and behaviors. One of our core principles, and Adam will actually get into talking about the design principles that we developed on this project, but the app has to feel very easily accessible and usable from the customer's point of view, but it also needs to feel aspirational. I'm going to talk about this when I go over the findings from the research. A smartphone is an aspirational product, especially for kind of the mass market here in Pakistan that are having their first experiences with smartphones. So the app also needs to have that element of aspiration built into it. It needs to feel like something that people are attaining, are achieving. User experience design maybe obviously, but it's all about the user. So good user experience design as a process finds ways to actually involve the user in the design of the product or service. So we did this in our methodology, and I'll share with you in a moment how we did that. But one of our recommendations for all of the providers in the room is it's not difficult. It does require a bit more intention, but we really recommend that all of you as providers find ways to not just get feedback from your customers, but allow your users to actually participate in the design process, not only of the apps that you all are bringing to market, but also the financial products and services. So Adam and I and our team, we do a lot of work in designing credit products, savings products, both digital, mobile, and kind of traditional. And in our process, no matter what the service or product is that we're designing, we always find ways to allow the users to actually be the ones designing, and we're really the facilitators of that process. Your customers know what they want, know what they need, they know what their behaviors are. We think that we're really good at figuring it out, but I would challenge us to really look at that closely and see if we really believe that we're designing things that are working for the majority of our customers. And one way to look at that and to improve that is actually by involving them in the process as designers.